lose money in Forex. Because if you can make money whether it goes up or down, I believe every day should be Christmas. But the truth is, that's not the case. People lose money in trading. It is because we need to know when to buy and know when to. That's the most important part of trading. It's mastering the art of buying and selling. In other words, as much as we can trade the same currency pair on the same day, the critical part of it is where do we enter the trade and where do we exit the trade. That is what we call entry points, where you actually enter and either buy it or sell it. That is an entry point. So we need to master our entry and our exit points. That is the most important part of trading currencies.
Welcome back to the show. Today we are with Sandile Shezi, founder of the Global Forex Institute.
The business of business. I mean, that's in essence what you are currently working on. Your core is trading at this point. What are some of the biggest challenges the industry faces in terms of trading?
I think one of the greatest challenges that we have, especially when I focus purely on training institutions.
Yes.
Because obviously you've got trading, the brokerage side, the banks, the institutions. Then there's obviously us retail traders,
yes.
And then there's obviously training institutions such as our company, where we just purely focus on the education of people, teaching people basically what we do. One of the problems is because it's not yet regulated. It doesn't fall under any regulation at the present moment. We're sort of operating in a gray area. And because we're operating in a gray area, you find that it makes it easy for anyone and everyone to just tap into the industry, you know, without the necessary training or understanding of what they're doing. And that is obviously one of the main things that have led to so many scams and fly-by-nights in this industry. About anybody can do it. You know, you can literally just come up with a logo. You don't even need to register a company. You know, I know people that go around collecting people's money, telling they're going to invest for them, and that's the end of it.
How do you ensure your business has that trust and credibility, you know, that obviously doesn't mingle in those sorts of scams?
Look, we try by all means to set ourselves apart, and I think that is what has kept us as one of the leading institutions in Africa till this day. It's simply because whatever happens, we're not part of the hype. You know, we have remained true to our vision and who we are from day one until today. And as much as there might be issues along the way, we don't compromise that. You know, and one of the things being, as an institution, we will never get to a point where we are even tempted to take investments from people until the day we are licensed to do that. And hence, anybody who walks into offices and says, Sandy, look, I've got $1 million or $2 million. Do you guys mind trading for us? We cannot help you. The only thing we can help you is to share the knowledge we have on what we do, and you do it at your own capacity.
Looking at your own business, I mean, what's been the biggest challenge that you faced to date? Whether it was capital, the flow of, what are some of those challenges? How did you overcome them as well?
One of the greatest challenges that I think I faced, especially in the beginning, is obviously one didn't get any funding. One
Yes.
didn't get any investors to jump on board and actually help us kickstart the business. So I literally financed everything from my personal capacity, and that really sort of squeezed my cash flow to a point that every little penny I was making had to go into the business. And at the time when we started, obviously the business wasn't generating much, because there's me, the trader, trading, and my personal capacity, then there's the company.
Yep.
So whatever cent was made here was pumped into the company, which the company wasn't generating those returns. And I remember there was a time where one had to make a decision, whether do we close the office or do I compromise on my daily life. And I remember I had to try and sell a lot of my own personal assets, get rid of a whole lot of things, just so I can refinance the business and keep moving. And I've had quite a rough time. I remember there was a very tough 4 months where I was literally taking public transport, and people didn't know this. You know, they thought Sandile is still fine, he's got a car, he's got everything. But I mean, those were early days. One has learned from those mistakes, and we've grown.
What do you think some of the biggest misperceptions out there regarding trading? Because it's money at the end of the day, and it can be quite a daunting experience.
I think the biggest challenge we have as an industry is that a lot of upcoming traders and people who are running similar institutions as us have got to the point where we've misrepresented trading in the industry, and in fact in society, in terms of majority of people are sort of selling the lifestyle of trading rather than actually presenting trading to the people. Because the truth is, trading, there's nothing fancy about trading. It's not a fancy industry at all. I mean, it's the financial markets. It requires a lot of focus, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And the misperceptions that people have based on how us leaders in the industry portray it is that most people think it's a lifestyle. You know, it's a get rich quick option. You know, look at so and so. He started trading 2 years ago. He's now got 3 cars. You know, but we're not really sure as to what really happens behind the scenes. So I think that's one of the challenges, and that's something we've been working on for quite a while, to make sure that people fully understand that trading, it's a business like any other business. You know, it's got its ups, it's got its downs, it's got its own challenges, but most importantly, it's not something you can get into today and expect to be rich tomorrow. You know, it's a process. It's a process. And obviously you got to accept the process. You got to be part of the process. You got to respect the process, because people who have tried to take shortcuts in what we do, they've literally ended up nowhere. You know, there's a whole lot of people who are facing serious challenges, and some even legal issues based on the fact that they're trying to take shortcuts in the industry. But if you accept the fact that it's about the consistency over time, then you'll be there for quite a long time.
You mentioned it's quite a new industry, so there's enough space for everyone at this point. But I mean, some of the key players who currently exist, do you think they're as open to allowing people, you know, to step into their turf? What are some of the barriers to entry that traders or potential traders would experience?
In South Africa right now, I think trading is especially retail trading. It's fairly new. A lot of people don't understand it yet, and hence it's easy to enter the industry.
Okay.
But once you've entered the industry and you've understood the industry better than someone new, you start realizing that we actually have a long way to go. People have no idea as to what trading is. You know, even those who think they know, they have no clue what Forex is. And hence, majority of traders in South Africa, we still have a long way to go. You know, if we talk about the core trading,
yes,
you know, the actual financial markets, we have a long way to go. But in terms of the lifestyle of trading, we are 100%.
We've sold the dream.
You know, we've sold the dream. But if you talk about the core trading, South Africa still has a long way to go.
What do you think are some what could help to change that perception and really solidify the core essence of what trading is?
I mean, I think we need to find a way of bridging the gap. You know, if you look at trading in first world countries and look at trading in Africa, it's at completely 2 different levels.
Okay.
At 2 completely different levels. And I think one of the challenges is you find that even people who have been in the industry for long, the leaders of what we do, they sort of have not yet accepted this retail trading thing. Because at first, obviously, there was institutional trading, and recently we then obviously now have been exposed to retail, you know, from institutions. So a lot of the big plays are just focused on the institutional trading, which is good. But now the challenge there is that it leaves this whole sort of division of retail traders sort of trying to figure their own way out. You know, and I believe if we can bridge the gap between the two, the institutional trading and the retail trading, of which the institutions have got far more experience, far more knowledge of what happens in the actual markets, not the dream of trading. If they could share the knowledge with the retail traders, I think we could even grow 10 times bigger and better.
I just also want to know from you, in terms of the barriers to entry, I mean, not only, you mentioned capital was something that a challenge you faced. There's also disparities that exist between gender, between race, between age, between there's so many divisions. What do you think is really rife at this point within your industry, and why?
You know, I think in my time when I broke into the industry and really made a name for myself, it was worse than what it is now. I think after I sort of kicked that door down, it opened room for a lot of young guys to actually enter through that door, of which it's not all of them who might give me the credit for that, but the truth is that, you know, I remember when I broke into the industry, there was a lot of question marks around me, you know. There was a lot of controversy around how I got to where I am, you know, and that raised a whole lot of question marks, because the truth is, we're not the only people doing what we do. We're not the only financial Forex education providers that are there. It's happening all over the world. You know, people are doing it everywhere, black, white, different races, different calibers of people. And it then sort of left us with a whole lot of question marks, that the reason why we're being questioned for what we do, could it be possibly because of race? Could it be possibly because of gender? You know, but obviously, as you learn and as you grow in business, there's certain things you get to understand that, you know what, is fine. And hence, it's not everything that I respond to, it's not everything that I sort of entertain. You know, I've had a whole lot of things written about me, said about me, and hence at times you just got to be silent and listen.
For anybody who wants to enter this industry and just wants to make a success of their own life, what are some, in terms of business and becoming an entrepreneur, what are some valuable words of wisdom you'd like to impart to them today?
I think the best thing I could say to anybody think of getting into business in general, as well as trading or any venture you can think of, is to just start. You know, it doesn't matter whether you've got funding, you don't have funding, you've got investors, you don't have investors, your family supports you, they don't support you, people believe in you, people discredit you. It doesn't matter, just get started. Yeah. You know, and the reason why I say get started is that most people believe you got to be perfect before you get started. And if that is your goal, you'll never start. You know, that's why I always say to young entrepreneurs, you don't have to be great to start, but you must start to be great. You know, when I started, I wasn't the Sandile I am today. Yeah. But in order for me to become who I am now, I had to start. If I had not started, we wouldn't be sitting here. People would not be watching what we're talking about today. So start, make those mistakes. Let people discredit you. Let people discourage you. But if you know where you're going, just keep going. Nobody's perfect. Even the most successful of entrepreneurs, they've got mistakes. But the thing is, they keep going. And they started with those mistakes. So just start and keep moving.
Sandile, thank you very much for your time today. I mean, it's been an absolute pleasure to dig into the inner workings of Sandile Shezi. I know that you are limited for time as well, so I do know that the pearls of wisdom you've dropped today, you know, goes far beyond this conversation we've had today. So thank you for not only remaining true to yourself, but I guess remaining true to the legacy that you want to leave behind. The ripple effects of that will long outlive this conversation and your lifetime. So thank you for serving.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In fact, I'd encourage all the young people, young entrepreneurs actually watching or listening to this interview to take a moment, go into our foundation website, which is where basically I get to work with other young people, get to empower other young people, because unlike many other charity organizations, we don't look at the physical. Our main purpose is to transform the mind of young people. That's why I normally say that if you give someone fish, you fed them for a day, but if you've taught them, it's for life. Thanks.
It lasts a lifetime. Yeah. Thank you for your time. Well, there you have it, Sandile Shezi of the Global Forex Institute. I think the biggest lesson that I've taken from this experience is that you don't have to be perfect and you don't have to have everything to start. You simply have to start and then build up from there. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I did. Do catch us next time right here on ANN7. Goodbye for now.